cop. He got the worst cop award and the worst husband award. Man gets pulled over for DUI. He's the police. Instead of taking it on the chin, he decides to blame his wife. Put up his picture full mass here. A Topeka police officer hit a car while driving drunk last October, then told the police his wife had hit it and has now lost his job. His name is Steven Dorsey Smith. Following his DUI arrest, was put on administrative leave and eventually resigned. After his resignation, the Kansas Commission on Peace Officers Standards and Training revoked his certification to be an officer. Let me give you some background to the arrest. Topeka police learned last October that a vehicle had left the scene after hitting a parked car in front of its owner's home in Topeka. Now, when you are hitting cars that are not moving, you are drunk, for sure. So he hit the car. It said Smith, who was off duty at the time, then called a dispatcher at the Shawnee County Emergency Communications Center to say his wife had been in a collision, then had circled the block and returned to the crash scene. Topeka police went to the scene, talked with Smith, who said his wife had rear-ended the parked vehicle, but good old video doorbell. A video doorbell camera of the crash provided to authorities by the owner of the struck car was inconsistent with Officer Smith and his report that his wife had been driving. Smith asked a Topeka police officer at the scene to turn off his body camera, then admitted he had been driving the car at the time of the crash. Didn't think that one all the way out, did you, buddy? The Kansas Highway Patrol, they decided to take over the investigation, with troopers observing that Officer Smith's speech was slurred and he had a strong odor of alcohol on his breath. Officer Smith told a trooper the crash occurred after he was distracted by his telephone while attempting to place a call, it said. Smith admitted he then drove away, picked up his wife, and returned to the scene. Now, I want you to imagine this. What kind of husband commits a crime? Now, once again, he's the police. Commits a crime. He hit a car. That's an accident. He then decides to flee the scene. That's a crime. He picks up his wife and says, listen, you need to take the fall for me on this. All right. We're going to lose everything. I would never be able to harass black people again. So she is in the car while he goes to talk to his buddies about how his non-driving wife is the reason for all of this. But good old Ring video doorbell proved otherwise. Smith was found to have a blood alcohol level of 0.089. Kansas law considers motorists to be intoxicated when their blood alcohol is 0.08. Smith was 26 years old at the time of the crash, according to records from the Shawnee County Jail, where he was booked. They released on bond. Smith was charged with driving under the influence and interference with law enforcement in a case that was resolved when he entered into a diversion agreement, which usually means you have none of those convictions on your record once you finish the diversion program. That's unfortunate because, once again, if you are in law enforcement, you should be held to a higher standard of accountability, not a lower one, not an average one. You should not be treated the same. You should be treated like you are the police. Medical doctors, they are not treated like everybody else. They are treated as if they are medical doctors and are held to a higher standard of accountability. The same should apply to cops. Yasmin, thoughts here?
Yeah, blaming your wife for your own drunk driving is pretty low. You know, people just don't know how to take personal accountability anymore. We act like cops are people who are morally superior to the rest of us. They're law enforcement officers, so I think we like to believe, you know, for the sake of our own sanity, that they're enforcing those laws upon themselves too. But we know that that isn't the case. Power corrupts, and the minute that you hand a new cop a badge and a gun, you are giving them power. Cops inherently, therefore, are bad people to enforce the law. The whole system is bunk, and cops like this one kind of exemplify that whole problem.